Mercedes is under fire from local businesses as they expand and develop their Brackley facility. F1 coverage is getting an upgrade as the sport looks to offer 8K resolution, and Red Bull has reportedly failed its FIA crash tests, while Aston Martin and Ferrari have passed. All this coming up on today's F1 Briefings in partnership with Sports Illustrated. But before that, my name is Alex Harrington. I'm your host and FIA accredited journalist. You can find me on X and Instagram at AlexDoesF1, and I'd be very appreciative if you could subscribe to this channel, follow F1 Briefings on all the social sites, and if you want more on all these stories coming up, you can go to f1briefings.com. Let's get into the news. The Mercedes Formula One team has embarked on an expansion project for their Brackley plant in 2023, aiming to transform it into a tech-forward hub. However, this initiative this year has been met with considerable opposition from the surrounding business community, who are increasingly more concerned about operational disruption to their own businesses. This £70 million redevelopment project aims to grow the campus into a sustainable, cutting-edge facility. There are new clean rooms, race bays, a machine shop, and a sub-assembly workshop. Right now, these are all operational, but the major issue has come from the expansion of the plant. Mercedes has purchased the land around the existing area to give way for a total of 1,250 workers. That's up from 350 when the plant was first built. Now, this will allow the team to also build an on-site restaurant, breakout areas, a new campus, a state-of-the-art gym, and a marketing building. And I believe this is where the issues have stemmed from, because previously their business neighbours were either using this land or at least driving over the land. Now, the usage rights have been changed, and this has stopped anyone else from using the land regardless of what they're doing. Mercedes put this down to, and I quote, a safe delivery of the campus expansion, which I can completely understand. But as you'd expect, other businesses in the area haven't taken to it lightly. A local businessman told the Northampton Chronicle, "Everyone is furious at the idea that this is going to happen. At the moment, we all have free access, which means we have no problems getting staff or commercial vehicles in." Now, the local business owners feel that their interests have been sidelined. One particular outspoken entrepreneur remarked, "It is a case of, we are Mercedes and we do what we want, just accept it." That's just very disrespectful to businesses that have been here as long as they have. Now, Mercedes have responded to the backlash. They've ensured their procedural diligence and stakeholder engagement. They've highlighted extensive consultations with relevant authorities and emergency services to ensure that their expansion plan is executed with minimal disruption to the local community. A spokesperson from Mercedes explained, "We have consulted extensively with both the local roads authority and the National Highways Agency, who have checked and verified our independent traffic studies. The concerns raised by the specialist roads consultant employed by one of the local companies have been studied to ensure that the proposed works have the least possible impact on businesses. As a major employer in Brackley, we always strive to maintain a good relationship and dialogue with our stakeholders and to maximise our positive impact on the local environment. We will continue to do the same thing during this process." Employing over 1,200 people is not to be laughed at, and it's not as though the team is working only for itself either. A new parking structure is being built which will cater to the local football club, Brackley Town Football Club. This will have over 70 EV parking spaces as well, all powered by solar power. In fact, the whole area will be net zero in line with F1's ambitions, thanks to renewable energy sources. The team funds local food banks and other charities, sponsors Brackley firework nights, allows school visits. It's definitely a transparent business that works with the public. Yes, we can all agree that building of any sort that disrupts routes we drive on is annoying, especially when it disrupts something that earns you money. But when you work in an industrial area, you must expect things like this. If you're watching this and are affected by this, please comment down below and tell us your experiences. I would really like to know. Now, I feel as though F1 coverage is pretty good these days. We have certain races where the actual filming is quite poor. Monaco, which used to be filmed by local companies, is usually one of them. But the quality of the video and the audio, especially with someone going meow in the mics, is really pretty good for the most part. But Tata Communications, the company behind F1 broadcasting, isn't happy. They say that they want 8K quality and less of a gap between the live race and what we actually see on our screens, either at home or on streaming services, or even on screens at the event itself. Tata has been in partnership with F1 since 2012, and since then has been able to increase the coverage quality to 4K at lightning speeds and be able to be viewed globally as well. But as the world gets closer and more used to 4K streaming, Deval Ponder, Vice President and the Global Head of Media and Entertainment Business at Tata Communications, wow, that's a mouthful, explains that it's no longer good enough. Talking to Autosport, he said, for young people, 4K is where the bar is now set. I think that the transition to 8K is going on actually quite well in the industry, and it will definitely happen because for the current generation that has got used to 4K, for them 8K will really offer a finer detail and a higher level of quality. As you'd expect, such an overhaul won't come just from Tata. It takes the aligning of several large organisations around the sport to get this done. Now, Ponder continued, change is never isolated. It is never led by a single organisation. It is always a group of companies that work together to deliver that change for viewers globally. So we are actively working with technology partners, but also with major sports broadcasters and sports federations to be able to deliver this change to the audience. Right, alongside this, Tata will be investing also in their edge-based infrastructure. Now, this involves small data centers which are dotted around the tracks. And this all works via cloud computing. By doing this, the company will be able to reduce the lag, and by working with the leading digital players, they'll make sure all streams of the sport are synchronized. You know, whether you're watching on Sky F1 or Channel 4 or ESPN, nothing quite lines up, and working in this industry, covering it live is actually quite difficult. Not difficult, but a little annoying. It may not seem like a big deal to most of us, especially on our phones where the screens are tiny anyway. A switch to 8K isn't actually going to make a huge difference. But it's important to remember that F1 isn't only about pushing technology from a car standpoint. It's also about moving technology forward in general, allowing it to trickle down to us, the normal consumer. Now, let's talk about cars crashing. It was rumoured that Red Bull's RB20 didn't pass the FIA impact test, and we all fell about laughing because the most dominant team in the sport can't even pass a simple test. It gave us some hope that maybe Red Bull had gotten something wrong for once. But in the reality of this sport, it doesn't really work like that. Red Bull allegedly didn't pass the test because they're pushing to innovate their cars. Whether it be to reduce weight or simply a new shape of the nose, a new structure, whatever. If they passed straight away, it'd be more worrying than if they didn't in the first place, because it means they're not trying hard enough, they're not pushing far enough. Red Bull consultant Helmut Marko said something very similar. He said, and I quote, "It's ridiculous. If he had passed that first crash test, there would have been a problem, because then we just would have done a bad job." Again, I want to note that this is all speculation, although Helmut kind of hinted that it was the reality. But it's also now rumoured that Ferrari have passed their crash tests too. Sky Italia confirmed that the Italian 2024 Challenger, codenamed Project 676, catchy, passed on the first go ahead of Christmas. Does this mean? I don't know. And they're now pushing on with their development, with the car being released to the public on the 13th of Feb. Aston Martin has also now joined them in their success, according to the Spanish outlet Soy Motor, although we don't know how many attempts this took. The Silverstone-based team will unveil their car, the AMR 24, as you'd expect, on Feb 12th. What does this mean then? Well, it means Red Bull is being aggressive in their development. 2024 will see designs across the grid converge on the RB19, which is about to be the RB20, and this means that they will be starting to catch up purely thanks to the law of diminishing returns. I mentioned that in the last video. And while the Milton Keynes squad is not looking to revolutionize their design, it will instead be an evolution this year of the 2023 car. It's fair to say that Adrian Newey and his team aren't relying on the dominance they've shown to get through another season. In fact, reports have noted that they're pushing so hard, they've already started development on their 2025 car. A very scary thought indeed, especially if you're Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, or Aston Martin. That is it for today's F1 Briefings. You can follow me on X and Instagram at AlexDoesF1. Make sure you follow F1 Briefings as well while you're there. But before you leave, make sure to subscribe to keep up to date. But in between videos, keep up to date at f1briefings.com. That will take you to our little home on the Sports Illustrated website. See you there.